and it is the eve of New Year's Eve. Kind of like
That's
when we
right.
had the Eve of Christmas Eve show.
That was last week, wasn't it?
It was. It
Yeah.
was.
Well, this
So,
last 2 years
hey,
have been something.
pardon?
This last 2 years have been something.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have, to say the least. And the good news is it's like 47 degrees at my house. It's similar at yours.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not in the deep freeze that we were with that last blast. You got power today, right?
I got power back this morning. They repaired the circuit that we were on last night about 8 o'clock or so, and they energized it, and we had power for about 15 minutes, and then a tree branch fell on the primary, feeding one of our places here, and put us out of power again. After being out for 3 days, we had it on for 15 minutes. Branch falls on, big explosion, all kinds of sparks. Look out my window and see the cascading sparks coming off the wires. But fortunately, somebody made it back this morning and just took the tree branch off the wires. And so now we're back to normal, kind of.
Well, hey, you know what, Dave? I got a segue right into that's just in time for Pacific Power at the first of the year. They're going to
Yeah.
have almost a 15% increase in electric rates.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
You
can't
know,
say that I'm happy about that because I'm not really getting any more service for my 15%.
no, nobody is. Nobody is. And it's that's pretty high. That's a pretty high increase. 14.8% is what their rates are going to go up by. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, our property, our utility bills are just going up exponentially, as is
Internet.
insurance and everything.
My dang internet. I got to do something about my internet. Elon Musk, you need to fix your Starlink. You need to send someone over to cut down one of my trees. Apparently, you know, we had
Hey,
three trees fall during the windstorm, but none of them were the ones blocking the satellite dish. So,
oh darn, darn! It would have been good if one of those fell. Now
yes,
I'll tell you though, but I've read that has Starlink 2.0. Maybe that's what you have, but it's supposed to be even better and not as finicky as the first Starlink.
yeah, I got a high performance Starlink advertisement sent to me, and it's only $2,500. Uh,
A month?
no, for the equipment.
For the equipment. Okay. Well, see, there you go. For $2,500, you might be
Be
able
able
to
to fix.
solve your problem.
Yeah, I might be able to solve my problem. Yeah, I don't think that's not really in my cards. I don't think so.
So, okay. Well, look at you guys. You know, this is the end of the year, the end of 2022. And I can't say that I'm sorry 2022 is leaving. It's done. I look forward to some new things in 2023, things that would be better and improved. I don't know all what that is, but I'm hopeful.
In Oregon, that's things like new laws and new taxes.
Yeah, well, we do have that. No, you know, like I mentioned to you, David, at the start, I feel more people are waking up to the what has been going on in our government, not just Oregon, I'm talking all around us, and so many levels, things that are, and right now, if you're paying attention to what's going on, there is a lot going on, and there's a lot of bombardment, but there's more truth is coming out. Truth, as I heard somebody say, all the conspiracy theories are coming true. you know? And so, I mean, you can't say it's a conspiracy theory anymore on many, many things. And
Yeah,
so,
well, I guess that's good. I'm just, I'm kind of at a loss as to what good that knowledge will do people. I mean, what do you do? Do you vote harder? Um, virtually everyone that's in government is corrupted, at some level. Some are, completely corrupt. We see that, our politicians in D.C., I don't trust any of them anymore. Not a one, not a single one.
I'll tell you, I I can think of maybe two. One and two, just a few in DC, because I do believe that we have some people in DC that have our country's best interest at heart. It does seem that so many I'm going to get mine for me and my family and just screw everybody else.
Yeah.
Let's just take care of whatever I can put in my coffers. And you can look at, especially the former presidents that we've had, excluding Trump because he came in that, a billionaire, he doesn't need the money. But for example, the Obamas, when they first got elected, they were lucky if they had $100,000. I remember that. They were lucky to have $100,000 in assets, So I'll be generous, say they had 500,000 in assets. Now they are multi-millionaires, and they were before their terms ended of 8 years. So, and then we know that there's a lot going on there's a lot of chatter about what's going on with the Bidens and whatnot, and Hunter Biden, and he's got to pay the big guy, and all that. So there's, at that level, there's a lot, but you can go to those that are in position in our Congress, that they are also enriching themselves as well. Now you're bound to make more money. Okay. And I don't begrudge somebody making more money, but and there is a lot of, I personally think, kickbacks. I don't know. Those are supposed to be against the law.
Well, I've become of the opinion that these spending bills, the one that was just passed, the $1.7 trillion worth of spending bills, are money laundering operations. Taking money from the taxpayers, giving to someone who launders it back to PACs, politicians, and the like.
Right.
And I think that's all. I think that's pretty much all they're doing in DC. They don't.
Yeah.
There seems to be nothing coming out of the Capitol Hill that resembles anything close to what the Constitution had envisioned for a federal government. I mean, a $1.7 trillion spending bill, 65 million for salmon. Why in the hell does salmon cost $65 million? Just in this one spending bill.
Right.
I don't get.
What are they going to do with this? What is that money going to, David?
That's what I'd like to know. I mean, it'd be nice if you could make a phone call and say, hey, you got this line item in here, $65 million. I think there was a couple of line items that totaled over $100 million for salmon. It'd be nice if I could call my government and say, can you tell me where are you writing this check? Who's getting the check and how much, or who's getting how many checks and how much does each person get? Because I'd really like to know.
I'll tell you, a growing problem is all of the nonprofits that are getting federal money. Money for what?
They're not getting federal money. They're getting your money.
Our money. Your money too.
Your money. They're getting your money. It's not federal money. They're getting your money.
That's
and I'm
right.
tired of paying for those bleeping salmon. If salmon went extinct, it wouldn't bother me.
Well, they wouldn't go extinct. There's salmon all over the world. There's
Really?
Atlantic salmon. There's salmon in Alaska. They just talk about, oh my gosh, they're not coming up this particular tributary.
Right, right. And meanwhile,
Frankly,
they
I
should.
don't care if
Yeah,
they don't come up that
I
tributary.
don't
I'm
care
in
either.
agreement with that.
I don't care either. I mean, they're, I guess they need to come up here to spawn, but I live on the river and they come up here and they die and then the dogs go down there and eat the fish and they die. And, I'll tell you what, this great salmon hoax that the Pacific Northwest has been, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska have been subject to is just absolutely ridiculous. If you don't want to kill fish, you don't need to outlaw dredge mining. You don't need to outlaw people
No,
in the river.
no.
You just need to outlaw fishing. Fishing is what kills fish. More fish are killed by fishing. Fishermen kill fish. Oh no, we catch and release. 90% of the catch and release, the fish die after you release them. They can't stand the trauma, you know. So that's
Well,
my
and when they are shooting the seals and they're putting nets
yeah,
for the birds, and that are so there's a lot of other influences that are killing the salmon beyond the net gills. Frankly, if they did away with all the net
yeah.
fishing, I think pole fishing, I'm all for. I love fishing, but net fishing, I think, is a bad thing. I still think nets in our oceans, quite frankly, are a bad thing. I've seen those same boats, and they're just indiscriminately pick and kill so many fish that are
Yeah.
not what they're out there fishing for. But to go back to wasted money, this last session in Oregon, they gave away thousands, millions of dollars, quite frankly, millions of dollars. And just about every representative and every senator
Oh
brought
yeah, the two
home
yeah,
millions of dollars.
the two
And,
million dollar
and I'm
bribe.
going, what did you all have to give for that?
Yeah, what
How
was it?
did you screw Oregon to get
Well, they
this
were
money
voting
for your district?
they were voting on something. I forget what it was. It was bribes, much the same way they passed Obamacare in DC, but they were bribes. And I forget what it is now. I mean, there's so much crap going on at the legislature. And why do we need laws a year? But anyways, I'm not sure why we need 2,000 laws a year. I can
No,
almost guarantee you we don't need 2,000 laws a year.
no, we
Uh,
don't.
but I forget
And
what it was. It was a bribe for something, and I forget what it was. But that's the way it
well,
works.
we ended up
That's the way it works.
we got a light cap and trade.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. That's what it was. I don't know, but I'm disgusted every time I hear, the insiders in the building discuss what goes on in the building and the cavalier manner in which they will trade, the trust of the voter, the trust of their constituents for some sort of deal. When it doesn't, somebody needs to stand up and be the elephant in the room and say, we don't need any of this shit. We don't need these laws. We don't need them. We
Right.
just don't need them. Just stay home. Stay home. Instead of paying you, I think between per diem, and if you'd average it out over the 2 years, I think they make about $50,000 a year. If I were governor, I would say, let's do this. Let's pay everyone in the legislature, in the Oregon legislature, $500,000 a year to stay home. And we would save billions of dollars.
No, 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 no. I don't buy that at all. But the thing is when is enough enough? You know?
Well,
And
yeah, there appears to be no end. I mean, we were talking before the show that there's a story that you have about some tax reform in the various states that are probably not run by Democrats, I would imagine. But in Oregon, and I mentioned this on a previous show, because of Measure 111, we're going to see our income tax, our top tier income tax, almost double. Almost double from nine. It's 9.9% right now. Top bracket pays 9.9%, and it's going to go up to almost 18%. It's going to go up another 9% to pay for Measure 111. And
Yes.
this is one of the big issues I have with the initiative process. This is just direct democracy. Okay, this is not representative republic. This is direct democracy. When the slimmest of vote margins, and we can debate whether or not those are true or not, whatever, but the slimmest of vote margins determines that the highest income earners in Oregon will now have 9% less of their income for their family, and that was just done with a vote. And it's I get the referendum process, and I like the referendum process, but I don't know, the initiative process, I'm not sure it's good for Oregon.
And when we end up with some initiatives coming from out of state influences, which is how we got the Measure 114 and maybe even 111, and I do believe could be even 110. I don't know.
Most likely.
More than likely, because
Oregon is legislative. Go ahead.
Oregon is the testing ground for the socialist, just how far we can go. And because we have the courts are not upholding the Constitution of Oregon, quite frankly.
Right.
Except for in Malheur County, they believe in upholding the Constitution of Oregon and the United States. But beyond that, there's not very much confidence in trying to go through the courts in Oregon. There just isn't. And we do have a lot of laws that are coming on the books. So
yeah. Well, and the point I was going to make is, you say these are out-of-state influences. They are nationwide influences, because we see legislative session after legislative session, we see agendas in Salem that are the exact same legislative agendas offered in every other state house across the country. So these are not Oregon specific. These are not, legislators don't write laws. They're handed laws. They're handed laws and say, here, pass this.
Mm-hmm.
We're not electing people to go represent our best interests in Salem. We're electing people that we think will, will do many different things. I mean, if you're a Republican, you're electing someone who'll vote no, basically, right?
Right.
That's what you hope. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the best score you get as a Republican in, legislatively in Oregon is you voted no on everything. Maybe Dallas Hurd wins because he voted no on everything.
Yeah, even good bills.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't like him, but I'm okay with people just voting no on everything. But anyway, so we elect people, to do things. If you're a Republican, you elect them to vote no and try to stop a majority, which you can't do. And everybody gets pissed, and they're pissed at their Republicans because the Republicans didn't do anything. And as far as I'm concerned, what people are doing after they're elected is they're spending their 2 or 4 year term in Oregon, whether they be a representative or senator, they're spending that executing the agenda that's handed to them, and that's for the most part Democrats, simultaneously they're spending the 2 or 4 years preparing to get reelected. And I understand that if you're not elected, you don't have a seat at the table. I understand it's important. But, this thing that we are sending people to the state house to look out for our best interests, that's BS. That's not happening. Even some of the people that, pretend to be the best friends of the conservative side. They're doing the same damn thing. They're handed an agenda by the people that write them checks and say, they're here, pass this. And some of those, I guess, are good. And if they are good, they're not getting passed in the state of Oregon. We know that.
I think that I'll tell you, I have faith in a few of our legislators, and I saw a couple of names, go by here in our chat, and I do have faith in some of our legislators, and I think some are really wanting to. It's like swimming against the tide, though. They're wanting to do things, but they're swimming against the tide. And I have heard my own Congressman Cliff Bentz, who's CD2. So wonderful. And I'm very happy that we have another Republican congressman going to DC, in Oregon. I mean, that's great. But he says, it's the shame of it is the Republicans don't all work together like the Democrats seem to all work together. And
they
so
do. They do. It's interesting.
You've got these ones that have their own agenda and whatnot. And
well, it's an interesting idea, because here's the question. And, you see this when, the mouth breathing that goes on in the official Oregon PCP group, full of mouth breathers. I don't think the people that even admin that are even on the central committee, if I remember correctly. But all of the, clenching of teeth, mashing of teeth, you see that stuff in there. So the question, here's my question. When Cliff Bentz is elected, is he elected to represent CD2, or is he elected to represent the Republican Party? Because if Tim Knopp is elected to represent the Republican Party, he will not get reelected. And that seat will go to a Democrat, right?
Right. Because of the district that he lives in. And it being, I hear you. I totally hear you. Interesting. Yeah, that's
but what you just pointed out is the most interesting part of this, is that Democrats are not subject to that. There's just a couple of them in Oregon. I think Bessie Johnson was one of them. And then I forget the other one. Somebody down here in Southern Oregon where I live, they have to take some guarded, anti-Democrat votes. But, they just crunch the numbers and they go, yeah, you can take a no vote on that. You'll be fine. We'll pass it. But for the most part, they seem to be elected, and their party has no more power over the legislative process than the Oregon Republican Party does. And the Oregon Republican Party has zero power over the legislative process, and I mean zero. And their party is pretty much the same way. But for the most part, Democrats seem to be elected mostly to represent the agenda. And as you pointed out as well, that agenda is not Oregon specific. That agenda is a wider agenda. You could call it a conspiratorial agenda. You could call it a movement agenda, but it's a far left agenda that the people that write these agendas and write the accompanying legislation to go with them know will pass in Oregon. I mean, you think about this. Democrats and Obama tried to do the end all Democrat wish list and pass universal health care, right? And we ended up with Obamacare, which has destroyed the medical industry for the most part, in the insurance industry, as far as I'm concerned. Oregon has done it. Oregon has passed, the only state in the union that has universal health care. And the only way that you can administer, the only way you can execute that measure 111, which is now part of the U.S. Constitution, or the Oregon Constitution, is single payer. And we will be the first in the nation to have single payer health care.
Which is why your income tax will be doubling.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's to pay for that. And it has to match the education from in some reading that I did in the bill. It had to match education and something else. I don't know if it wasn't public safety because I don't think that was part of it. But that is why the it will be going up. So talking about taxes, okay, state taxes. I posted in the chat a little bit ago that this article out of the Epic Times. Millions of earners and businesses are going to see tax cuts beginning in January 1st. And this article talks about there's going to be like 38 states are going to see significant changes in 2023, and 11 states trimming their income tax levies beginning January 1. Nowhere is Oregon even mentioned in this article. And as I had read it, what I had no idea of is some states have a flat tax. So in 2023, in January, three states, Arizona, Idaho, and Mississippi, are implementing a flat tax.
Ooh, Mississippi, huh?
Yes. And so there's 11 states that are trimming the income tax rates in 11 states. So I had no idea. And so, like for example, here, Arizona, they're going to implement a flat personal income tax rate of 2.5%, which will replace Arizona's tiered or progressive income tax structure that had a top rate of 4.5%. We are the highest in the nation of income taxes.
9.9.
We are. And so Idaho is going to a flat personal income tax rate of 5.8%, and which it had a progressive tax structure with a top assessment of 6. So it's interesting, they went to a higher level and some others went to a lower level in reading this. And some that already had a flat tax, like Indiana, their tax rate is going to drop from 3.23% to 3.15%. And then afterward, it will decline even more to eventually 2.9% by 2029. So their flat income tax is actually going down in Indiana, depending on state revenues, though. So, but I absolutely
yeah,
that there were states that had flat taxes.
Depending on state revenues and the outcome of elections.
Yes, of course, right? Of course. Mississippi.
That's the problem. Problem with
Mississippi,
tax policy is it can change every 2 years.
yes, that's true. That's true. So, and this year in Oregon, since the Democrats do not have a supermajority, they're going to have some Republicans that are going to have to work with them, or what. I can already tell you of one that will cross the aisle and work with the Democrats all day long.
Whose
And
initials are Greg
I'm
Smith.
sure you could as well.
Smith.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smith is in it for Smith.
Yes,
As I understand, he's doing very well.
he is doing very well.
He's using his
But at the same time, he's been fired by several counties. In reading the Now Here Enterprise, he's been fired as the executive director or the not executive director, but economic director over various committees and boards or whatnot, because of, one, it's a conflict. How are you? Anyway, it's a conflict. He's got other issues. I don't want to make this show all about him, but he's one.
Well, maybe we should, because he needs to be voted out.
Well, in 2 years, maybe he will be.
Maybe. Yeah.
You never know. So going back to these state taxes, though, And so I was interested going, well, let's see, when am I going to get to Oregon here? No, I got North Carolina. I got all these states, Arkansas, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, Virginia, Kansas. Kansas is phasing out its 6.5% sales tax on groceries, putting it to 4% in January 1. And it will decline. It will actually disappear altogether by 2025.
Interesting.
Alaska, let's see, California, cannabis retailers will be responsible for collecting and remitting sales tax instead of the distributors beginning January 1. Alaska is going to, let's see, they adopted 2017 production tax and severance tax on oil and natural gas extraction, and it will take effect in 2023. So any oil and natural gas fields operating before 2017 can no longer claim a 20 to 30% gross value reduction. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt, actually. Alaska oil and gas field operators.
I'll hurt everybody because it'll raise the price of gas somewhat somewhere.
Oh, it's already started to go up. In fact, I read a story. I didn't keep it up on my up here, but I read a story that it's, we're going to be seeing $5 and $6 gas very soon, very, very soon across the nation, because our strategic reserves are at the lowest level since something like 2008.
Wow.
So, and Biden's going, well, we need to buy more oil and fill it up. Well, yeah, now you're going to be paying through the nose, Yeah. He's not the businessman Trump was or is by any means. Trump filled him up at really cheap rates and using our own oil.
I seriously doubt Joe Biden's ever had a job.
No.
Maybe when he was a teenager, but I doubt he's ever had a job as an adult. I think he's like Ron Wyden. He's been in Washington D.C. all of his adult working life, sucking off the taxpayers and getting wealthy, I'm sure, in the interim period.
So some of the other, let's see, there is. I'm trying to, something I wanted to bring up to our viewers to have a heads up. If you live in Multnomah County, there is going to be
more taxes.
More taxes. I'm going to post this article here. And
is it to pay for homeless people?
No, it is going to pay. It's the capital gains tax, Multnomah County capital gains tax to fund eviction relief lawyers has qualified to be on the May ballot. So the campaign, I wonder if that was out of state or just what?
The initiative process strikes again.
It does. And they turn their signatures in November.
When people slam their hand down on the table and say that we're not a democracy, I go, you might want to look a little closer because that's very, very direct democracy.
So it is going to be this, the proceeds of the Multnomah County tax would be used to hire lawyers for tenants facing eviction.
Oh.
The threat of eviction is growing as pandemic-era protections expire.
As people don't pay their damn rent. That's what it is.
I'll tell you what. You know what? I'm going to knock wood. I got a wood desk right here, and all of our tenants are doing well. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad.
Good. Glad
hey,
to hear that.
So let's see. In 2023, you can go fishing for less.
Go kill some salmon. Go kill some salmon for less.
Yeah. So let's see.
Just get rid of that. Just get rid of the fishing license. Anybody can fish for salmon any way they want, anytime they want, anywhere they want. And we'll stop spending money on keeping them alive. And we'll just see what happens.
Quite frankly, I don't subscribe to fishing fees and hunting fees. I really don't.
Me
I
neither.
don't subscribe to that.
And this will shock some people. This will shock the people that think that driving is a privilege. In my neck of the woods, there's no hunting season. Hunting season is when your freezer is empty. And that'll shock oh my
No,
God, poachers.
I'm okay with the season. I'm okay with the season because of they need to breed and you don't want to kill a cow that might have a baby and things like that. I'm totally okay. And also I'm okay if disease has wiped something out that now, hey, you know what, we're not going to hunt here for a little bit and that. But I'm really not a fan of like having to pay licenses
Yeah.
for the privilege to go hunting.
Yeah, like it's a privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the deer are eating my grass. They didn't get a license to come eat my grass. So
They're free range. They're free range.
I had
So,
one come through last, I don't know when it was, last spring or something, but she was a fairly big doe, and she was eating her way from one end of the yard to the other end of the yard, and in between, or not the yard, but the property, and in between that was the garden. And
oh,
and I lost sight of her out of the window. I thought, oh crap, she's going to go in the garden, and she skipped the garden. She just wanted the grass. So,
well, good.
she's welcome anytime.
Okay, stayed out of the garden. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if you want to. So fishing,
Get out there and get out there and take advantage of those cheap fishing licenses and kill yourself some salmon. Kill as many of them as you possibly can. So we
okay,
can
how do you like this new
get
law?
salmon economy off of the taxpayers' back.
There's a traffic enforcement. So this, we talk about all these new laws coming on the books. Well, this is just a smattering. And I'll tell you, I should I should post this in our feed here. Let me do that. Because there are so many laws coming on. This one is traffic enforcement agents can give red light camera tickets. So now you don't have to be a police officer to view the video. Now you can have traffic enforcement agents, and these agents include people who are employed and sworn in by the governing body of the city they work in, and they must complete training to become authorized to review the photographs and issue citations. So there you are. Let's see. The term alien is out and non-citizen is in. So this was Senate Bill 1560. This is such important work, I'm going to tell you. Roll my eyes. Anyone who's not a U.S. citizen will no longer be referred to as an alien in all Oregon statutory references. Instead, the word will be exchanged for non-citizen. The law. Like, do we have to have a law? It instructs state agencies to use non-citizen in all rules and regulations where they reference a person who is not a citizen of the United States.
Yeah, we had one of those a couple sessions ago. It was an inmate. No longer use the word inmate. You use adult in custody.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see. Child support referees can conduct hearings. Oh boy. The presiding judge of a judicial district will now be able to appoint people as child support referees thanks to this new law. Child support referees must undergo training on how to handle child support and parentage matters. Child support referees will be expected to hear certain cases, issue an order, and transmit the child support order to the court. And you can now, this is really a biggie. You can register to vote with a social security number. House Bill 4133, wonder who let that get out of the committee, so it could get voted on. Beginning January 1, people can register to vote in Oregon using a social security number in addition to the driver's license or state identification card that was previously required to register to vote in the state. The electronic voter registration system will require someone who registers to vote using their social security number to enter the final 4 digits of the number and electronically submit an image of their signature. I want to know what could go wrong with that.
Well, hell, everybody, just about everybody in the whole state's registered to vote anyhow. I mean, motor voter. Yeah.
Well, they are. They are just about now. No overtime on short notice. You've got to give workers at least 5 days notice that they're going to, and you can't punish the worker if you have not given the provision of 5 days notice that they've got to work a mandatory overtime shift.
It doesn't work in the construction industry, I can tell you that.
No, it does not work in the construction industry. Not at all. There is no schedule. It's, when the trades all get in there. I was a landscape contractor. I know all about construction.
Yeah. It's going to rain tomorrow, and so we're going to work by headlight until we're done.
My uncle and my brother are general contractors. I've been around construction my whole life, and it is, well, not quite my whole life since I sold my business.
One of the major power just outages for my circuit down here was trees on a property that I had cleared. They they wanted us to take down the trees next to the power lines. It's like, nah, we can't do that, And it just so happens that those were the trees that just destroyed the power lines. I mean, it was I saw those guys they were there for a day and a half cleaning it up. I mean, it was just a mess. But anyways, construction story.
Yes, and those guys needed to work that overtime. And you know what, though? The linemen are happy to work the overtime. This is the time they go out and make a bunch of money. It's okay. You think of it as, hey, we're going to go make a bunch of money. And because this is the season of getting a lot more overtime. And, there's nothing wrong with going out and making more money for sure.
Yeah, well, the guy that I talked to, the guy that finally cleared my problem when it snowed a couple of years ago. We were out for 4 days, I think 4 or 5 days, and it was cold because it was snow. I talked to him, and I think he told me that he had been working 36 hours, something like that, which I remunerated on a little bit, and I thought, man, that's a lot of hours. I've worked a 33-hour day once, and I was pretty rummy. But yeah, I mean, they work. I'm not sure what they're apparently. Apparently, they don't have in their contract that I don't know what they have in their contract. Like they've got to stop working after 12 or 16 hours and take a break or whatever it is. But it appears when the storms hit, those line crews will work until they drop.
Yeah, they will. And I'll tell you, their lives are on the line when you're getting fatigued and accidents do happen.
That's the part that I was thinking about. I said, I wouldn't want to be 24 hours into a shift and be doing high voltage work.
No. No. So, Lori, you're saying who will enforce the overtime rule? Well, no, what it was is they cannot punish an employee if they say, hey, tomorrow it's mandatory, we're working overtime, and the employee goes, you know what, I'm not doing it. Sorry. You cannot punish them unless you give them 5 days notice. So that's what that's about. And yeah, maybe the ACLU, maybe, I don't know who will. So, you know what, I'll tell you, our power crews are our are first responders. If you
Yeah.
just don't know, they are absolutely first responders. And
I'll give it up to Cache Valley Electric. I'm not sure what state they're out of, but they have been the ones to repair my outages the last 2 times we've been out for any significant time. So shout out to Cache Valley Electric. Thank you guys for coming back earlier this morning, and taking that damn branch off of my primary line. Can't believe all the things they fixed. I mean, just it was a lot of destruction. I mean, huge trees came down all the way across the roads and highways, and took down wires on both sides, and took down all the primary lines, and took down the communications lines, and all that destruction that they fixed. And they finally were able to, put the cutouts in and energize the circuit and get everybody back up and running. And this damn branch, small branch like that, falls on top of the 2 wires, and puts me the 2 houses I have here and my neighbors out. So sorry neighbors. I feel like just doing a fern gully on the property, just getting rid of all the damn trees. One of the trees that fell on a 1966 Mustang.
Oh, I saw that picture, that post. Now that is a loss. That is, I mean, it's repairable, but that's awful.
Yeah, well, everything's repairable, but yeah, it's squashed good. I had a little cluster of cars in that area, and a pickup canopy. It took out the canopy. At my business, I lost a couple of greenhouse doors. But fortunately, most of the trees at my property are gone, because it gets expensive. But man, I'm starting to think about that at my house. I'm looking at all these trees, going, hey, you know what? I could probably do without these trees, because
clear a little more space around.
Yeah, that tree the tree that fell on the Mustang was a good tree. It was what I thought was a good, healthy tree that I had intended to keep when I thin the property. But it snapped like, I don't know, a third of the way up, just snapped off. I mean, it was green and lush and one of the better looking trees that I had, and it just turned on me like a rabid Doberman.
Well, and so how strong were the winds at your place?
Well, I didn't get any official, but gusts, I think, were about 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And we didn't sleep because we're in the forest. And so the house was just showered all night long with branches and debris. And we've got one dog here. He's the dog that jumps up and goes out every time there's sound. Well, he got overloaded, and he was just like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm just going to hide. There's just too much stuff going on outside. I can't protect you. Sorry. But yeah. I mean, it looks like a war zone. When I finally went out the next day, there's just trees everywhere and branches everywhere, and down lines everywhere. We had, I don't know, 20,000 people, I think, around here out of power. And there was dozens and dozens of crews out here working all of the various locations. And some big damage, like, all of the lines and the pole, two poles, back, just big repairs.
Well, I'm happy to say the wind did howl here, and we had some strong gusts. I don't know how strong, but we didn't lose power. We had a few bleeps, but our power stayed on. And so kudos to our city crew. We have our own utility, our city does. And so kudos to them for whatever they were doing. And it's because it sucks being without power, especially for days, especially for days.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. It's really a hassle. This last time has made me want to streamline that whole process. And of course, I'm an electrician, so I know how to do that. But I want to make it's about a 5-minute ordeal, and my house is back up. And that's what I'm going to do.
Well, I'll tell you, that's what we did a few years ago after the power had been out over on the west side for like 10 days, 14 days, two
Oh
weeks,
man.
remember? And so I
Yeah.
told my
Oh
husband, I
yeah,
said, you
yeah.
know what, we got to be prepared. And so we got prepared, and it really is in about 10 minutes or less, we can be
Yeah.
up and running. And I'm just glad. It's nice to have that peace of mind, um, you know, to know that we can still be up and running and not having to worry about the freezers, or if I've got heat,
That's the
hey, it's
deal.
not perfect, but because it won't run the whole house, but it will run everything except 220. So I'm happy with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we had planned to go up north to celebrate Christmas with the other half of our family the day after the storm. But as you mentioned, the freezers,
Yeah.
you can't, I mean, I don't know what your freezer looks like, but there's a lot of money in mine, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have a lot of money in their freezer, and you just
Yes.
you can't leave that. So I've actually thought about maybe, going to a propane powered generator, uh, because propane stores forever. It's expensive, but it
It
stores
does.
forever. But I can get a big tank. I can get a 500-gallon tank. And if I buy a good enough quality generator, I should be able to drive away and know that it'll be running. And of course,
Right.
I can install some monitoring devices. There's all kinds of devices out there. I've got power loss monitoring on all of my commercial properties, so I know instantly when the power goes out. I also know when it's restored, and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to get it to where I can do a power outage and not be stranded at home keeping the damn freezer frozen.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's exactly what we've got here. I'm reading a comment, Pam Hardwick, and that's exactly what we've got, with our generators and whatnot. So I've got to create the paper because I know how to hook it up. My husband doesn't. Which breakers to shut off and on. And so actually I'm the last time the power went out, we put our generators on a furniture dolly. So I
Oh,
could
good
just
idea.
roll it right on out of the garage, and and we had an electrician hook up and make a special cord for us and whatnot. And I know which breakers to do, but I've got to make the map, write the paper up of the instructions. so he could do it too. Well, David, darn it, he got frozen. You can still, you guys, I'm gonna 2023. He's back. Dave, what's your last words for 2022 captive audience?
Good riddance. This last 2 years has been absolutely exhausting. For me, and I think a lot of people. I mean, it's just good riddance, and I don't know. Hopefully, 2023, fewer people will be plugged into the matrix, if you will. Like you had mentioned, Sunny, earlier in the show, people are kind of waking up and they're unplugging from the matrix. So hopefully, more people will unplug for the matrix and realize what's going on. With our government. I mean, government's the biggest problem. Yeah, I mean, it's your biggest expense. It costs you more than everything else. And I don't know, it needs to be tamed. So maybe in 2023 we can tame government.
I think in 20, I'm okay. Okay. Hey, maybe we can.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
have to
either
see.
it's
It
either that
might
or
be in 2024,
it's either that
but
or it's either that or move to Wyoming.
I'll tell you what, we'll see what happens here in Oregon in 2023, since the Democrats don't have super majorities. I'm would like to be optimistic, that things will get better, but we'll have to just wait and see on that. But I will remind everybody, it all starts with your own local government first. Because if we
And
can change, in our own local governments, in our cities, in our counties, that will have the ripple effect of up. So, but I'm happy that 2022 is leaving. and I look forward to what 2023 brings. And we will be back on
In
Monday
2023.
in 2023. In fact, David, you're going to be on Monday, right?
I am. I am.
Okay.
I was hoping to have Michael Yon on.
Very good.
But he's got a not a very good data connection. He said he can really only do it by audio. So maybe we'll just do that. You'll have to look at my ugly face, or maybe I'll put like a slideshow up so you don't have to look at my ugly face the whole time that we're talking. And I don't know. I'll figure it out. We'll do something.
Okay.
It'll be a new year. We'll do something.
So everybody, Happy New Year. Enjoy it with your family, your friends, and as the fireworks are going off, watch your pets. Give them a tranquilizer on that night. Maybe,
Fireworks.
you know.
I forget about fireworks.
Yeah, in fact, we go to there's lots of fireworks in my neighborhood on New Year's. Lots of fireworks, and well, I suspect, let's see, I don't think we'll have snow on the ground. Right now, we don't have any snow on the ground, and the mountains look like it's pretty bare, but I know there's feet of snow up there, but on the faces that I see, it's looking pretty bare right now. So, hey, Happy New Year, everybody, and we will, captive audience, we will see y'all next year. Good night.
Good night.